Hey everyone, welcome to the Be Insightful in Technology podcast. Today we have a very special guest. We're going to talk about a new topic on the podcast. And we have our co host here, Byron, and I'm Shakira. And we're going to let our guest introduce himself and tell us about what he does, the different things that he's into. And I hope he has high energy like he did, during our free screening.
I'll behave. It's all good.
But yeah, JB, tell us, what do you do, and where can people find you, and what social medias or just websites that they can look you up on.
Okay, well, amazing intro. I'm JB. I'm the CEO and founder of Akuma Engineering, which is a holding company for three little gems I have. Cryotech, which created the world's first post-quantum encrypted messenger available to consumers far and wide and for free. We have over 80,000 users in 100 plus countries. It is interesting that it's predominantly in countries where they don't trust the Western paradigm and there's civil unrest, but I don't know if that's a common denominator. Who knows? We're getting significant growth across West and Central Africa. It's freaking amazing. Uh, and then we have Djinn Technologies, which is where I could have volumetrics. What is volumetrics? Volumetrics is the process of extracting a 3D digital twin of anything and everything in the world. Imagine being able to take yourself and put a digital twin of yourself in the virtual world. So that virtual digital twin of you could do anything, be anyone, as long as it's not your account hasn't been hacked and somebody's stolen it and roaming around pretending to be you, which is, of course, one of the other security issues in the metaverse, but we'll talk about that whole thing. And then my other company is Gorgon Black Box, which is, sorry, at Djinn, we solved markerless camera sync. We also acquired one of the oldest companies in the space, EFEV, and they had the Adobe Premiere of like 3D video scanning. It's amazing software, so awesome and easy to use. And then my third company, Gorgon Black Box, is a private military contractor kind of a company where we take the tech from my other two companies and turn it to military, private, and public security applications. The difference being is it's applications that we hope will actually help people predominantly. All three of these companies are under control of my Irish holding company, which is owned by myself. And the reason we did that is because I'm all about cybersecurity, protecting your data and helping you to protect your data. Now, in the United Kingdom, they have passed some very interesting laws, like the Online Safety Bill, that gives the British government carte blanche, if you will, to demand that tech companies such as myself hand over customer data unencrypted where possible, with no D-notice or warrant, and I am not going to do that. So all of my companies are basically in a European area, which means I don't have to accede to those ludicrous demands on personal privacy.
We'll make sure to get those links from you so people can tap into this.
Yes. Oh, and the links. Yes. So
Yeah.
so you can find me very easily. My name is pretty unique. It's Jean Brunel Webb Benjamin. So you can you can try and work out the spelling of that and type that into Google, or just type in JB Benjamin. A lot easier. You can still find me. I'm very unique on there. Nobody else gets. Well, when you type in my name, this American Civil War dude comes up as well. Who I don't think fought for the right side, funnily enough. Which is really strange. I don't know why. That's the only other thing that comes up. Lots of pictures of me in my younger days going, oh, striking poses. And you know how it is when you're at uni and you're kind of thinking you're looking good and you've got your high top fade and you've got your thing going on and you have a photograph that's taken and never disappears off the internet ever. There's a lot of that. So you can find me by typing my name in, or you can find me on Twitter at JBWB2020. You can also find my companies at cryotech.co.uk and vox-messenger.app. You can also type in Vox Messenger and Vox Crypto into the Google Play Store, and it just comes up because there isn't much else with that name combination on there anyway. And I know, by the way, our logo is super unique for the Vox Messenger app and crypto. It's a big V that kind of looks like something out of V for Vendetta.
All right, so we'll make sure to include all of those in the show notes so that what you guys can actually tap in. And he's going to talk about more like becoming more secure and just handling your data, basically how you would want it to be handled versus, trade around to other places like it is today.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the problems we find in the world around us. There is an expectation that we will be able to gain access to amazing things that will make our lives happier and greater, like Facebook. I mean, this is kind of the deal that we do, isn't it? We sign up to Facebook and Twitter. Sorry, it's X to the LZ now, or whatever the hell they're calling it, whatever the hell Elon Musk has decided to wake up and call it today. It's either that or it's Instagram or any of these other social media platforms. We get to sign up for free, and yay! And it's meant to make our lives better, yay! But all that happens is we just end up with mental health problems. And instead, these people make make an insane amount of money from exploiting our personal data for ads revenue. Now, if you're actually looking at the amount of money they make in orders of tens of millions a second. And so to put this into context, people are probably thinking, yeah, but what does that mean to me? I have nothing to hide. What do I care?
Right. Yeah.
Well, first of all, we always have to remember that the saying of, if you have nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear, was a saying created by Goebbels, a Nazi, to make it easier for him to get people to turn on each other. It wasn't something you should really be regurgitating and hoping that we all get behind necessarily. In terms of what does it mean? It basically means that when you're on a social media platform, be it Facebook, be it Google, even be it using Google search, every single thing you do is tracked at a granular level. So what does that mean? Well, it means when you have your pocket getting rather musty in your back, have your phone in your back pocket just sitting there rubbing against your butt, hopefully not butt calling all in sundry, this thing is tracking where you're moving around. Now, that's very interesting to companies and advertising agencies because it means it can tell them if you are near shops and commercial entities that may be trying to sell you a product. Now, this also has another side to it, which it means that should you have an instance of your identity looks like somebody else's, I mean, mistaken identity is the greatest used excuse for a lot of things, unfortunately, you'll find they can look at your phone and go, well, we can see from your Oyster card and your phone that you were at so-and-so, which was kind of close to when something else happened. This does happen, unfortunately. It happens a hell of a lot, especially in the United Kingdom. London Met Police, I'm looking at you when I talk about this one, in particular with your facial recognition networks. The other component of this is more and more increasingly, we are finding that because the social media networks are able to work out everything about us, how we think, what we like, what we dislike, what we love, what we loathe, what we hate, all of these things, we're getting increasingly targeted for direct political messaging, which is something which wasn't happening when I was a kid. The worst you got from your social media when I was a kid was spam and bullying, cyberbullying. Spam. That's the most we got when we were kids, and we could turn it off, whereas nowadays you can't. It's everywhere. And it can get to you everywhere. Now, the products that I've built in all of my companies, we stand for certain things, which is that we have a business model which does not exploit your user data. I think it's an incredibly lazy and distasteful way of making money. That's why I've built products that don't rely on that as a business model. So you're going to say to yourselves, so how does he make his money? Well, the reality is I haven't been for the longest time. I built everything for example, Vox Messenger, stronger encryption and implementation than Signal on WhatsApp, built for under £200,000 by just one guy and another guy who came along and helped him a little bit later on. And now we have over 80,000 users all over the world using this thing. Why? Because we've built a product that provides an actual utility. And we've not advertised it. We've not said, oh my God, check this out. If you use this, you're going to be cooler. Use this and you're going to be more in vogue with blah, blah, blah. We have not used influencers or anything like that. We don't work that way. We've built a product that is useful for people. Now, this brings you to the kind of, when you look at if you're trying to work out what's the biggest difference between the old world, i.e. the world that our baby boomer parents existed in, that was the world of Web 2. Now, Web 2, what was Web 2? Web 2 was the world of centralization, where you would give up your personal data and get something for free. Boom. But it's never quite worked out that way. As I said, you end up with mental health problems more than anything else, and direct political messaging, trying to convince you to, vote for one bad person over another bad person who is the flip side of exactly the same group of types of people. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying not to swear because I'm unfortunately one of these people that is can have a bit of a Samuel L. Jackson style delivery, just with a little more of the King's English, and I am and I'm doing my best to just be a lot more couth, as one should say.
You're good. You're doing good catching yourself.
Hell,
He owes us crypto if he swears, so he's
yes,
doing all right.
we have our own digital platform asset, but that's what we'll get to afterwards. So yeah, Web 2, what is it? Well, with Web 2, you gave up everything in exchange for hopefully getting something that would improve your life. And we have given up our data, be it the fact that we give up everything, pictures of our children, pictures of our family, our friends. We tell these social networks who our friends, our acquaintances are. In fact, the social networks know when most of us are having affairs before our spouses know we're having affairs, for example. It knows more about us than any other thing does. And then it's able to, whoever's had this experience of being on WhatsApp and talking to your friends about some shoe or something with a brand name, and then you go onto your Facebook profile and all of a sudden you're getting ads all about that thing that you were talking about at you. That is the evidence of what I'm talking about. It's called retargeting, where you believe that your data is being end-to-end encrypted. It kind of is, but not until keywords have been extracted from it, which allows these networks to build a profile of you. In the Web3 world, it's very different. In the world of crypto, of NFTs and JPEGs that really mean nothing other than the massive amounts of money that people will, for some crazy reason, actually assign to them, and the crypto rugs and all these crazy things, and the metaverse and decentralization. It's all about your experience being decentralized, where the center of your experience is you. You control your data. You control your experience. But this also comes with other caveats that a lot of people forget, which is that you then become responsible for your security. You become responsible for your infrastructure, your wallets, your transactions, etc., etc., etc. Now, for the longest time, we have spent our entire lives being told we can trust these platforms and we don't need to learn how it all works. It's magic and unicorn dust. So it just works and that's it, and not to worry about it. And by the way, don't you ever forget that if you don't have anything to hide, you've got nothing to fear. So give up your keys and your privacy, yay. But as we have seen in the most recent times of people being deplatformed, of people having the police turn up on their doorstep because of the comments they made on X to the power to the Z, Twitter, or whatever it's called these days. We have seen that these platforms which are providing us these services are not being impartial and they're not being unbiased purveyors of a service. They are swinging between whichever government or platform will give them more of an advantage in the corporate consumer space. That is not showing that they care for their consumers. I come from a background where I have always been taught to care about individuals and groups of humans. I grew up in Birmingham in the 1980s. I was born in December 1980, which makes me the last batch of the Gen X. And I grew up in Birmingham, in Bawdsley, which is where the Peaky Blinders are from, in a fairly rough neighborhood at a depression time. And I was going to protests for freeing the Birmingham Six and other carriages of injustice. When I was 5 and 6 years old, I was studying Descartes and Oppenheimer and all of these great books on civil disobedience and how systems are constructed. And I learned from a very early age that, yes, the individual is all powerful if it chooses to be. I mean, who here has been told, oh my God, I can't do something because it's just too big. How can I deal with this? I'm just but one. Yeah, no.
A lot. Like people will come and say that a lot. And it's just like you don't realize the amount of change you can make as one person.
The systems that be are afraid of us as individuals. They're not afraid of us as a group. The reason being is because everybody knows of Freud, but not everybody knows about the evil person, his protege, called Barnes, who came up with the current formula for consumer capitalism that we are all dealing with right now, which is where we are kind of manipulated and our emotionality is really primed and prodded, and logic and reason are espoused and pushed to the side. I mean, if you look at the modern world, it's all about perceived identity differences and all about emotionality. How we feel about something. But when we find people in this media space who do kind of go, hold on a sec, let's apply a little logic to something. We're normally told that they're the insane ones. They're the ones who are classified as counterculture because they're not engaging in emotionality. And there is so much of this. And I hate to say it, the worst area of emotionality right now is politics, unfortunately. And that is bleeding into our tech because politics is driving a lot of tech and vice versa. The ability to manipulate tech is also driving different politics. This is the reason why I would say when the SOA model, the OpenAI revealed that could create amazing text to video, yes, Sam Altman, kudos for releasing that. It's a work of art, but your timing sucks. We have two major major elections, and an election happening in the United States and an election happening in the United Kingdom, both of which are already turning out to be divisive and are already probably going to be beset by all kinds of forms of accusations of misinformation and corruption. And then you release this perfect tool for creating deep fakes and fake videos with. Mwah! You really observed your technological responsibility there. And in the companies which I've designed and the tech we've designed, this is one of the things we think about. We think about timeliness. We think about the effect on the society and the groups of people around us, which, yes, it does mean it takes us longer to get money and make money and attract investors. But I would prefer that. I've turned down large sums of money because I would much rather wait longer to have the right investor and shareholder who shares the same vision of doing things right for the consumers,
I do want to ask, like, what does it take to really stand your ground with that? Because a lot of people that may be listening are, getting into tech and they're getting their footing within their careers and trying to figure out what to do. And it's easy to become susceptible to outside pressure. So how do you figure out like how to, stand your ground with people who are coming at you with large sums of money and they're just like, if you do this, you can get this one. So
Okay.
I won't even say only from that perspective, but also like the added context of if you look at it from an angle of you have 88,000 users across the world that use your product, but you're trying to, I guess, enforce that you're trying to help people or have a tool that helps people. How do you, I guess, broaden your scope of trying to help people without compromising the integrity of, what you built it for to begin with?
Okay, so it's a two-part question answer in a way, because it also comes down, the way you approach it comes down to the background you come from. Okay, and okay, you're gonna have to bear with me because this is where it could make people who are like frail squirm a little. But okay, if you come from certain backgrounds, you will not be asked to stand your ground on so many things. And there's a reason for this. It's because if you come from, say, an ethnically diverse background and not a rich or connected ethnically diverse background, you'll find that in order for you to get your way, you will be expected to compromise. That's how it is. That's how it is. Bear in mind, I mean, I already said to me that there is no amount of money in a million years that would be able to make me go on Saturday Night Live and dress in a dress. Sorry, you know who I'm talking about. I just couldn't do it. There's no amount of invitations to the Bohemian Grove that would make me think, oh yes, I've made it. And this is where I would say my best piece of advice for people is this. If you're going to get into business, be very clear about what your objectives are. Do not be abstract. Don't just go, oh, I want to be rich. Okay, why? What does it look like for you being rich? Why do you want to be rich? Because I've met so many people all around me as I've been moving in various circles who are either rich or wanting to be rich or poor and hoping and glad they're not rich. And the people who are rich, a lot of them, they got rich and have no clue what to do with any of it. And they're the ones who end up doing the bad things because they have no idea of why they're there and they have no idea of what to do with what they've got once they've got it. It's just an abstract that we have largely been kind of like genetically traumatized into believing we should achieve for no abstract reason other than, hey, it's good because we can have all the gold. We can wear gold chains as opposed to just iron ones. Yeah, no. I would say also be your most authentic self, because when you're your most authentic self, it's very hard to compromise. I'll give you an example. In this particular industry, I've worked a whole vast array of jobs. I've been senior lecturer of computer science at my alma mater. I have been a product manager of a £9 million project at one of the biggest corporate law practices in the world. I've been a building site sweeper in a building site yard. I've been a security guard. I've done all kinds of crazy jobs just to raise money to build my projects, basically. And one of the things I've always learned throughout all of them is my peers in my racial group, particularly, they believe that the way to succeed is by cutting their amazing locks, walking around with a high top or mid top fade, wearing a suit, walking in a certain way, speaking like they come out of power, and they believe that this is what's going to allow the doors to go wide open and accept them. We see a beautiful example of this in the music industry. We have we have P. Diddy, who it turns out is the black community's Epstein. Now, if we look at the Epstein case, which P. Diddy is part of, nobody is really being kind of properly touched or going to jail over that or anything, other than the woman. However, P. Diddy, you better believe that when he did his deals and he sold his soul to the devil, he believed that when the chickens were going to come home to roost, that he would be also saved and covered and succored by those around him. Afraid not, dude. I mean, I forgot. I don't think anybody gave him the memo, but the black guy always dies first. That is even that way in the movies. So this is why I would say, be your authentic self. Don't sell your soul for some chattels and a few schmeckles, because at the end of the day, it ain't going to protect you. The reality is, it doesn't. I'll give you an example. I know for a fact that it doesn't matter how much money I have in my bank account, there is a huge swathe of British society that will never view me as their equal. And you know what? I've grown to be really comfortable with that, because I'm not their equal either. And that is the way you all should all be thinking about it at the end of the day. When you're doing a job where somebody's trying to put you down, the easiest way to think about it is that at the end of the day, you are moving on to better things. Nothing is permanent. Everything changes. That is the beauty of the world. Actually, that's the very beauty of existence and life itself. Nothing stays the same. Everything evolves. There's a perpetual revolution happening. And that's what we're experiencing now. We're experiencing a world which is slowly changing, not just because of the technology around us, but also because of the way in which people think. And part of that, by the way, is the technology. We have never been more connected to each other than we are now. Well, and also really kept apart from each other, because we all say we're different from each other when we're not, but that's a whole other conversation, really.
All right, we gotta step into.
Let's steer the convo back to what we were. Yes. Yeah, because I'm so lost. But okay. No, like I feel like you make really good points about, like, just in terms of, like, I've always been taught or reared as a kid of, like, you're gonna have to work twice as hard for half of the opportunities that are available to you. You're not going to be able to have a southern drawl in some spaces, because they're going to view you as not intelligent, or, like you said, not their equal. So yeah, I definitely like level with a lot of what you said, in terms of, like, I get the whole, like, having integrity in what you build and wanting to help people and wanting to make a change, but it's like, how do you come into contact with people of like minds? Because of course it's not at this point just you doing everything. So, like, how do you keep things stable and on the path that you set, essentially?
Well, it's the way I work, even though I believe in democracy, even though the reality is it doesn't actually work, I do not run a democracy in my company in any shape or form. No, I'm the CEO. I am responsible at the end of the day for everything. It doesn't matter how many people I have working around me. It doesn't matter if one of these people does something bad. That's on me. I'm not one of these, and that's how it should be. The days in which our kings and our leaders led from the very front of the battlefield seem to be very much over. And this seems to be the same with our tech CEOs. They're more than willing to throw loads of money at putting out a product without caring about the effects it can have. And then when the blame starts rolling in, they're very quick to go, whoa, it was Jeffrey, wasn't me. There's that whole kind of trying to pull themselves away from that. So in terms of me finding people who are aligned with me, it's been a very long road. As I said, I started this back in 2017, and it's only in past 12, 13 months, I managed to do over 400 grand from investors. Prior to that, it was angel investors who were investing far smaller amounts. And these angel investors are all people who are incredibly aligned with me. And that was the key. The key is to start off with a small group of angel investors who are not in it to make a profit. They're in it because they see the vision. They see the same hallucination that you see of a world of parity. You notice I didn't say equality there, because it's actually about parity, equity. Equality is a beautiful concept, but it's an insanely dumb concept because it depends on who you set as the benchmark for equality. Do you set the strongest, most intelligent person as the benchmark for equality? Do you set the stupidest person as the benchmark for equality? To be fair, it's probably where we're at in modern society at the moment, to be fair, in terms of what, especially when you see discourse on X to the Z Twitter. But what we really want is parity, which is we have access to exactly the same level of resources, no matter who we are or no matter where we come from. And this is what all of my tech is effectively building towards. All of the tech that I'm building towards ultimately builds towards, I'll give you an example. By 2030, we have in the smart contract for Vox Crypto, we have a piece of code that automatically on midnight, the 5th of November, on 2030, opens up a multi-signature wallet. Now, into that multi-signature wallet, there'll be about 60% of our profits from certain products going into this multi-signature wallet. That wallet effectively will be distributed like universal basic income to all of the users of our platform without having to do onerous KYC or having to stick your eye into a big silver orb so somebody can nick your biometric data. Nothing as crazy as that. No, and the reason we're doing this is because we firmly believe that it's possible to make healthy profits while also giving back to your consumer base that are purchasing your product. This is the reason why I'll give you an example. If you're working for one of my companies, your easiest, probably the happiest person probably will be the cleaner in the office, because the cleaner in the office will be on 20 to 40 pounds an hour and will not have any responsibility other than their job. But if you're a management, you better believe you're going to work. I mean, my companies don't operate in the kind of way most other corporations do, where the higher up you get promoted, the less work you do and the more money you earn. It works the other way. The more higher up you get promoted, the closer you get to this workaholic CEO who doesn't believe in sleeping at night and just keeps on working constantly, because that's how you make the money if you're going to make it, you know? So I would also say that's my other bit of advice for anybody who wants to be a founder. Be prepared to lose a lot of sleep. Yes. Be prepared to work around the clock, and be prepared for it to be a thankless job where 90% of the time people are telling you for the first couple of years, oh, this is such a stupid idea. Why are you doing it? Nobody will, blah, 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 blah. And you just have to keep going. Keep going no matter what people tell you, no matter what. You just keep going.
Thanks for tuning into this episode. Catch part 2 next week to gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be insightful in technology. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast while you at it.